It's around this time, right after the NFL draft, maybe a week or so afterwards, that we finally get these rumor nuggets about what happened or what should have happened during a team's specific NFL draft. But this time, Jeremy Fowler actually condensed everything, put it into one article, and then pushed it out to the public. So that's exactly what we're covering here on today's NFL Daily episode. All of the NFL draft leaks that happened in 2025 and what some teams planned on doing and ultimately did not happen. Now, this is why you subscribe, right? All year long, we are covering the NFL just for you. We've got the best NFL content. We've got all the latest news and rumors. And by the way, when football season starts up, some chances to win some sweet NFL gear. So make sure you lock us in and hit that subscribe button. Let's start with the first team that, I don't want to say I rank these in order from like the most scandalous to the least scandalous. These were just the teams that stood out to me. They're not in any particular order, so don't read too much into the actual ranking. The Chicago Bears. Here's what Fowler had to say about the Bears 2025 draft. Chicago quieted trade calls with the Colston Loveland pick at number 10. I've heard from multiple teams who said the lack of a trade from the number 3 to 25 was due in part to Loveland going off the board. Some inside the league believe that the Bears tried to make an early day 2 move, possibly to move up 4 spots to Tennessee's selection at 35. Knowing Chicago's legwork on running backs, Ohio State's Travion Henderson would have made a lot of sense in that regard. And it was kind of known that the Bears were eyeing a running back target early in day 2. They weren't really going to do anything on day 1. I don't think that they were going to try and get a running back. But Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins were definitely 2 players, at least from Ben Johnson's perspective, that they were targeting earlier on throughout that day 2. Now, let's see what they actually did. So they shut down the Colston Loveland's trade calls. They tried to move up to 35. And it's clear Ben Johnson wanted Travion Henderson as his ideal pick in round 2. Obviously, it didn't happen. He's now on the Patriots. But despite all of that, Mel Kiper still gave the Bears a B+. So it couldn't have been too bad of a draft. It couldn't have been too crazy or too hectic and deriving from the plan. And if you look at the Bears' running back depth chart, I'm not going to say it's good, but I'm not going to say it's bad either. DeAndre Swift is a very good RB2 in my opinion. Roschon Johnson had a little bit of a down year. And Kyle Monangai, who they took in the 7th round, I feel like his skill set will lead him to be a rotational RB2 to RB3. But you're probably wondering, is this the exact RB depth chart that they're going to roll out week 1? Not even close. In fact, I predict the Bears are going to sign Nick Chubb. There have been a lot of speculations and a lot of stories that have been coming out that Chubb is not only done in Cleveland, but close to a deal with a particular NFC North team. Well, there's not a single NFC North team that I can think of, at least, that needs a running back other than the Bears. And Chubb, since his injuries, he's fallen off a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. 2 really nasty leg injuries have caused Chubb to be about 75 to 80% of the player that he once was. But 80% of what Nick Chubb once was is still a top 15 back in the league. So I would love this move as a resident Chicago fan. I feel like this would be the perfect combination of thunder and lightning for the Chicago Bears, with Chubb obviously being the thunder. Our second team that comes in, boy, do I have like a million things to say about their draft. I'm going to try and just condense them to the most important things. The Cleveland Browns. The glaring and obvious one was the Shedeur Sanders pick, but Jeremy Fowler went into a deeper dive on the Cleveland Browns draft, and here's what he had to say. A few teams tipped me off before the draft that Cleveland really liked him, talking about Dillon Gabriel, presumably as a day 3 pick. He went in the 3rd round and was a mild surprise, but the Browns sources tell me the earlier selection of Jalen Milroe to Seattle didn't even faze Cleveland. They were taking Gabriel at 94 regardless. That's a little bit of a shocker to me because Dillon Gabriel, to me, was like a round 5 or a round 6 pick. Honestly, kind of where they took Shedeur is kind of where I expected Dillon Gabriel to go. They also selected Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson. ultimately leading to the conclusion that, yes, like we said before, Nick Chubb's time in Cleveland is done. But Fowler also mentioned this. The Browns could be looking to trade a quarterback that is currently on their depth chart. He didn't name a single player. Now, Kiper, he was glazing the Cleveland Browns all over. A+, the only A+ grade in 2025. I think that's a bit of a stretch. I did like the Cleveland Browns draft. I would have given it an A-. You could talk me into an A, but an A+, that to me means it was perfect. And I don't think the Dillon Gabriel pick was perfect. Now, currently as it stands, the Browns depth chart for the quarterback situation looks like this. One glaring thing is obvious to me. The QB2 will not be Kenny Pickett. Joe Flacco is going to get the nod, and either Gabriel or Sanders, whatever combination of those two, they're going to be quarterbacks 2 and quarterbacks 3, which leads me to this. Kenny Pickett's going to get traded again. I feel horrible saying that, only because the Browns traded to get him, and they told him that he would have an opportunity to make that starting quarterback role week 1. And obviously, with their choices at quarterback in the draft and then re-signing Joe Flacco, that's not going to happen. Pickett's not going to end up playing. At least I don't see it happening whatsoever. So I think what's going to end up happening is by the trade deadline, Pickett will be shipped off to another team that needs a backup quarterback or to a team that has a quarterback go down and they need him, to start a couple games in a pinch 3 or 4 weeks of the season. So here's the question that I'm going to ask you. It's not about Kenny Pickett because, let's be honest, Walmart Morgan Wallen is not the headline of this entire video. Shedeur Sanders, will he start for the Browns in 2025? At any point, so that doesn't mean week 1, it doesn't mean week 17. At any point, will Shedeur start for the Cleveland Browns? I'm going to type my Y for yes. I do think that Joe Flacco in his older age, they'll eventually get tired of him. Shedeur will make his start probably around week 9 or week 10, but let me know in the comment section down below. The Giants, they had another awesome draft. I thought there was a short list of teams, 3 to be exact, the Browns, the Seahawks, and the Giants, that won the 2025 NFL draft. But it didn't come without its controversy as well. So Jeremy Fowler, of course, we're going to see a theme here. We're going to see what he has to say about all of these draft picks. He went into detail about what the Giants draft was, and here's what he had to say. The Giants said they settled on Jaxson Dart after the Monday meetings of draft week. At that point, he had checked all of their boxes, a team source said of the Ole Miss prospect. They also decided that they wouldn't trade above Pittsburgh, banking on the Steelers opting for defense at pick number 21. They got that correct. While the Giants worked out Shedeur Sanders the week before the draft, Sanders sensed much earlier that New York probably wasn't in the cards and openly acknowledged during the pre-draft process that he didn't hit it off with the Giants coaches. Timeout. Let's be very clear about this. Shedeur's pre-draft meeting was terrible. Awful. Not just with other teams, but with the Giants specifically. There was that rumor that story was leaked, that Daboll was asking him questions at the whiteboard, and Shedeur didn't do his homework. So Daboll called him out on it, and then Shedeur fired back at him. For a kid that hasn't even stepped foot on an NFL field, that is not the response that you need to have. And I can see, not just from that perspective, but as a player perspective, why the Giants ended up settling on Jaxson Dart. While I do think Shedeur is a better player, I don't necessarily know that they're all that far off. Dart was slightly worse. His PFF grade was actually higher. But if you watch the game, Shedeur is clearly the better quarterback and was last year as well. But it's inches, not feet. That's the truth. So if you're looking at it from the Giants' perspective, they say we've got a kid that doesn't have the right intangibles versus the kid that answered all of our questions, checked all of our boxes, and productivity-wise is maybe a slightly worse version of what Shedeur was. To me, that's a no-brainer. And it also leads me to this conclusion. Now more than ever, quarterbacks have to be good at the podium. We live in an age where what you say absolutely matters, whether you agree with it or not. And the truth is that if you say the wrong things to the media, they will crucify you. And Shedeur does not have the right podium skills yet. Now, that doesn't mean that he's not worthy of a starting quarterback role. He's got some maturing to do, and I can't wait to see him in a Cleveland Browns jersey. And speaking of jerseys, our friends at Fanatics came through. If you want to support your favorite 2025 NFL rookie pick, make sure you do it with our friends over at Fanatics. I personally have bought 2 jerseys from Fanatics. I love both of them. I will be getting a third one before the 2025 season. You can mark that down. So here's what I want you to do. Take this link right here that I've put in the comments and description of today's video, and I want you to use it to go start shopping with Fanatics today. You can get a Colston Loveland jersey, a Jahdae Barron jersey, a Cam Ward jersey, a Shedeur Sanders jersey, or even a Jaxson Dart jersey. It doesn't matter. Whatever your favorite player for your favorite team is, use this link right here to start shopping with Fanatics today. The Falcons at number 4. Now, I like the Falcons draft. I think I'm kind of in the middle of some NFL analysts who said that they loved it and some that said that they hate it. I liked it. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was right in the middle. And the main reason for that, the main reason for controversy about the Falcons was this trade right here. When they traded with the Rams, they gave up a 2026 first-round pick to move back into the first round to select James Pierce Jr. Good player, talented player, I believe will be a very productive edge rusher for whatever team he landed on. But he does have some character concerns, which we'll get into here in just a second. But here's what Fowler had to say. Atlanta's move back into the first round to secure pass rusher James Pierce Jr. was perhaps the boldest move of the week. Giving up the franchise's 2026 first-rounders comes with risk, which the Falcons were willing to accept for a chance to fix their uneven pass rush once and for all. Now, he does have one note that's really 100% true there. The Falcons over the last 3 years, undeniably and according to the statistics, have had the worst pass rush in the entirety of the NFL. So getting a guy like Pierce, who's got the measurements and the speed and athleticism that you're looking for, was clearly something that they valued. Now, I don't know that giving up a first-round pick for the guy made a whole lot of sense. But here's a little statistic, a little deep cut stat for you. The Atlanta rookie sack leaders, they haven't had a guy as a rookie get more than 10 sacks since 1968. That's brutal. Now, again, not every year you take a edge rusher or a guy that can go back and sack the quarterback. So there is a little bit of a pinch of salt that you have to take with that as well. However, since 1968, the Falcons have not had a singular rookie hit the quarterback, knock him on his ass for a sack since 1968 more than 10 times. That's crazy. I just thought that was nuts. So I understand where the Falcons are coming from. I understand their need to want to fix their pass rush. I just feel like it might have been a slight reach, and you might have given up a little bit too much to select a guy who's got some character flaws. The final team, the San Francisco 49ers. This one, I put more so because of what San Francisco is trying to replace. And during free agency, the 49ers lost a bunch of key starters. But Fowler said this about the 49ers draft. Whispers of trading up persisted closer to and around the draft. The 49ers discussed trade options with Carolina at 8 that ultimately didn't materialize. I talked to a few teams picking high who wondered whether San Francisco would move up for a playmaker such as Tet McMillan or Colston Loveland. Well, funny enough, Tet went at 8 and Colston went at 10 with the Bears. So this is kind of, exactly what happened during the San Francisco 49ers draft. They selected Mykel Williams. I really like the pick. I think he's going to be a very good plug-and-play starter week 1. But they've also lost a bunch of defensive starters in free agency. And one of their biggest ones, which leads me to believe they were trying to eye Tet McMillan, was Deebo Samuel to the Commanders in March when they made that trade. All of this to say this. the 49ers are in a tough spot. They are on the clock right now for having to pay Brock Purdy. It's clear they don't view him as a $60 million quarterback. Brock views himself as the going rate for the top of the quarterback market. That doesn't necessarily mean $60 million, but that definitely means more than 50. That means inside the top 10. And I'm sure Purdy looks at himself and says, I've made the Super Bowl. That's more than Lamar can say, than Herbert can say, than Tua can say, Trevor Lawrence, or Jordan Love, or Josh Allen, or even Dak Prescott. So all of these guys have not made it nearly as far as me, and yet I'm not even being considered to be paid in the top 10 for quarterbacks? That's crazy. So the 49ers are in a bit of a predicament. Now, I'm not here to get into what they should pay Brock Purdy. If it were honestly up to me, just a quick little sidebar, I'd give him like a 3-year, $40 million a year contract. So 3 years, $120 million, but that's just me. But here's the interesting thing. I saw this at the end of their draft. They drafted Curtis Rourke. And you might be thinking, what does a 7th-round quarterback have anything to do with this? Well, where do they take Brock Purdy? Literally the last pick in the NFL draft. He was Mr. Irrelevant. So if there's one team that I trust to develop a 7th-round quarterback, it would be the San Francisco 49ers. Is this kind of telling that the Niners might be looking to move on from Brock Purdy sooner rather than later? Only time will tell. So I'll ask you this. I'll end it with this. Which team had the best 2025 draft class? I have to say, I got to go with the New York Giants. The Abdul Carter, the Jaxson Dart, the Omar Norman Lott pick, I thought all of those were really, really great. So I'll say the New York Giants, but let me know what you think in the comment section down below. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. My name is Moose. Remember to subscribe, like the video, and share it with a friend. Until next time, be cool.